This week in the field, a recap of my Death Valley workshop. Hey everyone, I'm Scott Davenport. Welcome to In the Field. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to apologize up front for my voice. I'm fighting a cold, and so my voice is a little gravelly. Hopefully you're able to understand me and I don't cough too often during this video. I just finished the Death Valley workshop. It's about 3 or so days after returning as I record this. And I had a great time. A fantastic group of photographers. We had a lot of fun, got a lot of great photos. And one of the things I like to do is take a few minutes and think about how'd the workshop go and what were some of the themes that emerged. I don't have very much, if at all, any video that's going to go along with this, because when I'm teaching a workshop, I'm not really recording things. I'm helping students and making sure that everybody who's come out to the workshop has got everything they need. But there were some themes that did surface for me as I thought about the workshop. And I'm going to start out straight up with the tip of the week right here on the front, which is that your shoots in elevated areas or areas with elevation around it, you can't necessarily trust your planning tools. You can't just go by sunrise and sunset times. Death Valley is a place where you have very extreme changes in height. You're standing in a basin that's below sea level and surrounded by peaks that are 4,000 or 5,000 feet high. So sunset might say 5:30, for example, but the valley floor will be in shadow 45 minutes before that. And so that's really one of the themes that emerged is many of the photos that were kind of our favorites weren't taken strictly at that sunrise, just after sunrise or just before sunset times. One that stands out to me is Zabreskie Point, which we visited a couple of times. And the first visit, we had really nice light before sunrise, and everything just was beautiful. I'll show you the photo here. Just nice, calm, serene, really good colors, just a very nice mood in the scene overall. Artist's Palette is another place where I think the colors in those rocks start to come out more in the twilight area. They're not in direct sunlight anymore. They're not being washed out by what is usually some pretty harsh light. So that was one of the themes. Another one, which is interesting because it kind of parallels Death Valley in and of itself. So Death Valley has a lot of extremes, right? Lowest points, highest points, very cold, very hot. And I found that the focal lengths that we were using kind of paralleled that, where you're either extremely wide, 14 millimeter, 16 millimeter, 24 millimeter, or the opposite, you're reaching in with, say, a 200 millimeter lens to just get, a nice tight, compressed view of a particular scene. And there wasn't as much in the mid-range. There are exceptions, of course, but generally it was shooting very wide or very tight. And I'll share a couple of photos here where at the wide end of the spectrum, places where you are trying to capture the vastness of, say, Badwater Basin. You want to be very wide and exaggerate some of the patterns that are in the foreground. But then other places, you may want to be collapsing things. Mesquite Dunes comes to mind, where you have these nice, beautiful, rolling sand dunes and pretty dramatic ridges and mountains behind it, but compressing all of that and also saving yourself a pretty healthy hike all the way out into the dunes. That was a plus, too. One other theme that seemed to come up is, I'll say, following the rules. Now, I talked about this maybe a week or so ago, about being a good ambassador for photography. And, my group, not a problem at all. I mean, everybody was awesome, and we all kind of get it. We're all, good photography ambassadors. And we didn't march around on soft basin areas, even walking around Badwater Basin, trying not to step on the ridges, like the spines of those shapes, and step inside them so you're not ruining it for the next person that's coming along. We did encounter people that, weren't so kind. And the one that stands out in my mind is a person who was in the process of getting ready to put up a drone out at the racetrack playa. And drones aren't legal in the national parks. There's a small provision if you get special permission from the superintendent, and I believe you have to have a ranger with you if you're going to fly the drone. This person obviously didn't have a ranger with them and had some very concocted story about having a permit, and it was a very precise price, almost an immediate Pavlovian response to the question of, hey, you need to have you can't really fly that drone here. You're going to get in trouble. So that's just always it's always a negative. I did actually go to the trouble of stopping by the ranger station the following day and say, hey, there's a person. I described the vehicle they were in, maybe be on the lookout for them. Will something come of it? I don't know, maybe not. And it's still sad that there are those out there that are making it a little more difficult for the rest of us that just want to go and get beautiful pictures and capture nice things. So that's really kind of the summary of the workshop. Again, of course, plenty of wonderful photos, great time, and I thank everybody that came out on the workshop. You guys are great. You know who you are. And really, that's it. I think I've already said the tip. So I might get in the habit of saying that in the front of the video. I mean, some people, time is valuable. And so if I can give you the information up front, maybe I'll start doing that in future videos as well. And that's going to do it for this week's In the Field. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, let me know somehow. Comments in the video, questions are always appreciated. Social shares are too. And until next time, my name's Scott Davenport, and happy shooting.